Hey, we're there. Apologies for that. I didn't even think of checking the microphone this morning. I obviously do apologise. So let's do this properly. Good morning. Welcome to today's RC Coffee Chat. Now, I am just going to quickly nip across to the live chat, which is going on here right now. And you should be able to hear me nice and clearly now. Yes, absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much. And obviously, apologies for that. You can see the live chat going on above my head. Apologies, I updated OBS first thing this morning and didn't even think of checking the microphone. My bad, naughty Matt. Right, what have we got on the topics list for you this morning? Topic number 1, iNav saved my arse. Really did. We'll get to that topic. That was going to be the first topic of today's chat, actually. 3D parts for Scratch builds. A little project, or side project, which I'm working on. I've got an example here next to me, and I'm going to expand that out as well. And yes, fantastic. And by the way, you can see the chat suddenly got lively up above my head. Topic number 3, which is the main feature of today's episode, is do you know any of these people? So maybe you have a Crash Bandicoot or a Moany Tony at your flying club. I've got a list of potential people which you may know of, or characters from the flight line. So we'll have a look at that in a minute. And what else we got? Oh, we got a dirty tip staller, brand new little model next to me at the moment. The FG, the Team Legit FG36 is finally getting built. She's here next to me. We'll have a nose at her as well. We'll have a quick chat about the Hardcore 44 Maiden, both line of sight and also FPV as well. The shopping bender as well. We'll take a look. There's one thing which actually is probably about the cheapest thing which I bought last week, and it's been the week before, and it's actually turned up and they're really good. So we'll take a look at those as well. And finally, we're probably going to have a look on the Hobby King website and see if it's still broken or not. So obviously, a very good morning to everybody who's on. We will get to Shout Out Corner in a few moments' time. But the main topic for this morning, well, the first topic for this morning is basically iNav saved my arse. Now, I want to put this into perspective for you, which is, as many of you know, that a flight controller board like iNav or the Eagle Tree Vector or the Pixork or Arcbird or you name it, they have many features in there. One of them of which is a stabilized mode so that you can enjoy the FPV experience a lot more. The other is return to home or return to launch. You may see that called RTH for return to home or RTL for return to launch. They all basically mean the same thing, bring the model back for some reason or other, whether it's because you've hit the switch or you've had a failsafe, for example. Anyway, moving on. You can just imagine how much FPV I've flown in the last 6 months. I'll give you, and again, those of you which are new here, I'll give you a hint. It's an awful lot. Literally, for the last 6 months, at least. That's all I've really flown, is FPV. And until Friday, was it Friday? Or was it Sunday? It was Sunday, actually. Until last Sunday, I have only ever hit return to home in anger once before that. Literally, once before. And that was with the Eagle Tree Vector. I had it in the Phantom FX 61. Got loads of interference on the video. Literally couldn't tell custard from pudding, you know. I hit return to home and the model came home. Up until Sunday, that was the only time I've ever hit return to home in anger. And then on Sunday, the C1 Chaser, which we can see up on the screen, absolute corking model, and I'd put iNav in there, and we'd gone off, we'd done the Maiden, which you can actually see that is in that video, and then the 2 later flights, we had a 27-minute flight on a 5000 3S pack, and I had a 28-minute flight on a 3300 4S pack, literally just dawdling around trying to catch thermals, which was brilliant fun. But the second flight, the wind had picked up, and I was intent on trying to chase thermals around the flying site. So checking out each location, just slowly moving across the locations, trying to chase the thermals around. And this one spot, and literally I've flown through that section over, like, it must be way over 100 times before. With the combination of the wind direction, it hitting a dead, like, turbulent spot behind the trees and then getting whacked by a thermal. The C1 Chaser, which it was literally up on its side, back down, and how I kept it up straight, I have no idea. My right thumb was just bang all over the sticks, trying to counteract what was going on. I'd flick through the modes, and even Dave obviously had a spotter there and said, "Matt, you're going in," and it was just that it was either just ditch the model, and I hit return to home, and the model came home. So I used iNav at a point where it was the model was going to go in. There was pretty much no question. It was the last ditch attempt. I could not save it on the sticks. It was literally in an awkward spot. And like I said, I've flown in this corner at the flying site. We were no more than like 250 meters away, you know? It was literally just over there. And the model was getting chucked around on the shop. It went through my head, right, just throttle off, let the model go in. And then I fought for it, and then in a second I just hit return to home, and it got me out, and it brought the model back. And Dave was like, "How did you get that model out?" And I genuinely don't know how we got it out, but I wanted to pass on some very good news, which was iNav. I need to put this into perspective. Twice in over 6 months, I've had to use return to home, and when I needed it, iNav performed. So, am I happy with iNav at the moment? I'm absolutely ecstatic. So we will get a little mini series out, an idiot-proof guide, a map-proof guide on how to set up iNav, because when I needed it, it worked. And for me, that's the biggie. And also, I could talk about this for a little bit longer. In fact, I am, which is, let me just put this into perspective. You can have at least 5 of these setups for one cost of an Eagle Tree Vector, and you can get pretty much the same functionality for all intents and purposes. There is some extra work required. The Vector is like just out of the box configure and off you go. With this approach, you do need to do some soldering, and you do have to have a fair idea what you're doing, hence why we need a couple of tutorials. But it was absolutely fantastic, and for $45 or less, I want to stress that, or less, you can literally have 5 of these setups in your models. So to give you a heads up, the Z84, I've got a board going in there, the Phantom FX61, and also the Micro Sky Munter is going to have one. In fact, just for poops and giggles, I'm going to stick one in the back of the Rare Bear and load it up with a 4S battery and see how fast that thing really does go. So absolutely impressed. Sorry, I've literally just looked over at the chat, which I'm sure you can see above my head. And yes, all my models have RTG, returned to ground. Yes, Bruce, we were all fine since Isaac Newton invented gravity. We were perfectly fine, and then Einstein got on in the act and then really ruined it for us all. So iNav, am I a fan? Absolutely. When, like, I've made my point. I needed it. It worked. It brought a model home. And literally over in 6 months, that's only the second time I've hit return to home in anger. And you see how many videos which I post. So you've got an inclination on how much FPV which I fly. I'll normally fight it out. Literally, I could not hold that model in the sky. It was we weren't even that far away. We were just over there, and I'd flown there so many times. Anyway, enough of that topic. iNav, it saved my arse. It saved the C1 Chaser. It paid for itself in one hit. So very, very happy camper. Topic number 2, which I'm going to quickly move on to, is that I've got a link to this in the video description for you. And it's a little project which I'm working on at the moment. Let me go and get this up. Is I'm not very good with 3D modelling, but I have a basic understanding of what needs to get done, and that's basically all I need. Now, a little project which I'm working on here at the moment is that I've got a big box of Depron over there, and I would start like to making some foam ball models, in short, because it allows me to muck around very inexpensively with lots of different types of models and designs, maybe a V-tail, an A-tail, T-tail, and things like that, and different types of models. And the thing is, I've got a 3D printer set here, and I saw Andrew Newton's episode a while back. I think what was it called? The Open Wing System, which was a collection of parts. But unfortunately, there were no STL files for anybody to print them off. And I actually also thought that it was a really good idea, but somewhat limited in some of the parts which were available. So I'm just going to show you the one part which I got on the screen, which ironically I've got the tube version, which is that I've got some 10mm carbon tube, which you may already be thinking, well, that's a tail boom on there. And I've printed out these little parts, and obviously they would need to get glued on. But if you use your imagination, is that if we had that there, then we can have our V-tail going up there, and then we need a little mount on here, which actually I need to publish on Thingiverse, is that I can then make my own little boom, and I've got a V-tail. Or if I've got another model, maybe like the Keifu, where we've got two booms, is that then we could make an A-tail, so horizontal stabilizer, and then like an inverted V-tail on the top. You could make a U-tail, like on the Sky Hunter, so flat and then verticals on there. So I'm creating a collection of different parts. I will start using them myself for a couple of different models to see how they work. And obviously make any improvements as they go. But my point being is that if you've got any suggestions on parts or little extra bits of framework which would help you with some scratch built models, I think this is a fantastic crossover between not just having to rely on hot glue, for example. We can actually get some physical supports in there, use more awkward materials, because carbon tube isn't the best or the easiest thing to mount into a model without copious amounts of glue. So maybe just a little clamp mechanism on the end to which you can then screw in or glue to the actual model itself. Maybe a joiner system in there so you can then carry the boom all the way out. There's lots of options out there, and again, at the moment I'm working on the basis of it being these carbon tubes are like $4, something like that. I've got some square 10mm extruded tube as well, which I can use. So any comments or feedback which you've got on there, and again you can get an idea of what I've been doing with them. Let me put that on there. That's for just a standard U-tail, as I call them. What else have I been doing? I've been mucking around with different heights as well. There is an A-tail version, like I said. I haven't uploaded all the files which I've got here, but then I've been trying to do it so that there are multiple sizes available. So here we look on there, and again, an improvement to that one already is that little top section which we've got there. Bring that up 6mm and then put it on the same angle, so you can literally just wedge the board down in and then just put a spot of glue in there and you're golden. So I am mucking around with this at the moment. Any comments or suggestions or any ideas which you've got, do it. Can you do me a favor? Draw it on a piece of paper, take a photo on your phone, stick it in the Faceballs group, and I would absolutely love your feedback as well. I'm going to start doing some motor mounts as well. I've got some crude ones made at the moment, and that's all I'm after at the moment. Does it just make it work? So any suggestions which you've got, I would absolutely appreciate them. So obviously I've not really kept an eye on the chat yet this morning, so I think it's probably a good idea that we move across to Shout Out Corner. So this is my favourite section of the day, because this is where I can get to say a good morning, a good afternoon, or a good evening to you. So these are the people who are on live at the moment, and obviously if you're watching the recorded version, you can say howdy in the comments section underneath this video. So we were here having a chit chat this morning. So good morning, Go2499 and Brad. Also Andy, of course, and Roddy. Scrolling down, Joanne and Lauren. And scrolling down, don't want to try and miss anybody as well. Scrolling down, we were having a bit of a chit chat. Brad, good morning. Thomas, good morning too. Scrolling down. Rads, good morning. And by Adeline, good morning as well. Brian, good morning. Tim, good morning too. Killer Dave at 55, good morning too. Just making sure I've not... Oh, Andrew, good morning as well. Philip, good morning. Martin, good morning. Jeff, good morning as well. Jake, good morning. Wolfgang, good morning. Lansing, 3600, good morning as well. Jim Clark, good morning. Scrolling down, I'm doing my best not to miss anybody. Henry and Colin, good morning. Green Patches, good morning. I'm actually going to pause for a quick sip. Good morning, Sir Bruce. Or sorry, should I say good afternoon, Sir Bruce. Scrolling down. Elijah, good morning. Keep on going, Matt. Keep on going. Tom, good morning. And I'm still scrolling down the list. And Andy, good morning. And Aussie FPV. And obviously, if I have been and missed your name, I do apologise. That was quite a long list for the chat which has been going on, as you can see above my head. So to quickly recap where we are, iNav, save my arse. 3D parts for scratch builds. If you've got any ideas, please just scribble it out. Like, it could even just be a line drawing on a piece of paper, take a picture of it, and stick it in the Facebook group, and I'm sure we can get it knocked up. So yeah, I am working on like a library of parts which I want to use myself, and hopefully you might want to use them in the future as well. So happy days. Good morning as well. One old goat, good morning as well. Right, let's move on. Next topic. Right, do you know any of these people? And I can guarantee you know at least one of them. Okay, so this came into my head about a week ago. We did post an earlier version in the Facebook group, and I've been in there this morning and updated it. So with that said, every flight line is full of a bunch of characters. Now, you may know one or more of these characters, so I'm going to read them through. And we'll go from there. So the first one, which I thought was the most the obvious one, Crash Bandicoot. As the name suggests, on every visit to the flight line, you name it, he can crash anything. He may also be known as Digging Dan, and insists on trying to send his Banggood or Hobby King plane back via the ground, which is the shortest route. So I'm sure we've come across a character, or I know that I have, and sometimes that character has also been me, of going through. So let me see if I can sort this out, because I'm using a little cheat sheet here on the left hand. Well, you can't see it now, in happy days. So IC Maniac, this person absolutely loves IC to the point he secretly dabs on a little bit of nitro if he's run out of aftershave. The Wallet Warrior. If there's something new, foam, balsa, you name it, he's got to have it, and he'll have it on the flight line by next weekend, ready to fly and ready to show off. Mr. Inappropriate. Now, this might not be because of his wording on the flight line, but instead, or obviously his ability to put his foot within his mouth very, very quickly, but instead, he's Mr. Inappropriate because of his flying abilities and also his ability to select the most inappropriate model for his flying abilities, when in fact, maybe he should be trying to learn to do right-hand circuits around the field with maybe an AXN instead. Also, Mr. Inappropriate's ideal model is a bi-wing, probably a Pitts special, and it never ends well. The next character which you may see on the flight line is Mr. Once Upon a Time. Now, formerly an absolutely fantastic pilot, and unfortunately the model flying skills are almost gone and the models are rotting. Those two milk bottles on that little wireframe are just not helping, and out of every two flights, one of them is gone in. Up in the pace a bit, the man's man. The man's man walks onto the flight line with a swagger. It doesn't matter what he does. He's golden. Bobby No Mates at the other end of the spectrum. Now, Bobby No Mates is special because he will always hide at the other end of the flight line, out of the way. And he'll only communicate with other pilots when he has to. And that's normally followed by a slow walk to the flight line. And the best you can get out of him is launching and landing. Nitro Nigel, which is a kind of little repeat of Icy Maniac, calls foam an electric crap. Says they don't fly very well. Demands complete control of the flight line and makes people wait while he starts his crappy nitro engine. And now, the one character which I am sure those of you which have been to a model flying club are aware of this character. And this character is called Moany Tony. He's got beady eyes and absolutely no sense of humour. The kind of bloke which would make a fantastic safety officer, but instead writes down every single little infraction either in his notebook or keeps them in his head. He then reports them back to the highest ranking committee member who's on the flight line on that day, typically by doing that, whoops, to everybody else. And he'll turn his back on you. Or he'll get on the blower that afternoon and give the chairman the lowdown of every single infraction that has been made that day. But Moany Tony would never dream of bringing up anything at a club meeting because that would show his true colours. And I'm sure we've all come across a Moany Tony before. Next one, Dangerous Dave. He's the one that sees some new technology and then promptly gets it banned by the committee. But the irony is that 5 years later, they're all doing it and think it's great. Frank the Farmer. No matter how big your flying field is, he always manages to land it in the opposite field. Guaranteed. Mr. RAF. Now, Mr. RAF is unlikely to have been a pilot. Perhaps an engineer of some form with the RAF. These characters are cool, calm and collective, and their flying skills speak for themselves. Monkey Martin. He can climb any tree to get his model back. Get his tree back. There we go. The Droner. And again, I'm sure you might be recognising a few of these characters. I'm thinking I've been to quite a few model clubs now, and these characters do kind of stand out. The Droner. Now, you may have been thinking quadcopter pilot, but actually, no. A droner is the person who carries on and on and on. Last weekend we did this. That model is crap because of this. I bought one of these and it's fantastic, when in reality it probably turns out to be utter shite. And that brings us nicely onto Mr. My model is better than yours. Now, it doesn't matter if it's an off-the-shelf model. That person has been and done something to their model to make it vastly superior than yours, even though it's exactly the same kit, the same motor, the same everything. But it doesn't matter. He's made a modification to it, maybe several, and as such, it is the best one on the flight line. Gobby Gary is the next character. Now, unfortunately, I've run into a couple of these, and they're the type of person which sits on the back of the flight line and jeers the rest of it about something which he's pissed about and nobody else gives a shit about. I'm sure you've run into them before. Next character, because this was actually based on a real character, Balsa Dave, which you may have seen a glimpse of in an episode or two. Dave has lots of balsa models. He's spent a month of Sundays working on those models, getting all those little bits of wood in, fettling from the plans. But the irony is, when he gets to the flight line, all he's brought is foam. Pat. That's his name, Pat. Next guy. which is the next guy. The retired guy that's always there flying 3D helicopters. Everybody knows him. Always helpful, fully stocked, with every single tool which you could possibly need, and especially the tool which you've been and left at home. It's normally called Pat. And the last one, Kevin Know-It-All. Kevin blabbers so much, he doesn't actually fly any models anymore. He'll walk up to you with his vast experience and knowledge and tell you all about your model. How he had one, how he improved it, and how you can fly it. Kevin needs to be housed in his own information booth at the end of the flight line. So maybe those are some characters which you've come across before. Maybe, and again, we've got quite a list there. We did really well. And thanks to everybody in the Facebook group for chipping in on this one. Who do we have? Crash Bandicoot, the Icy Maniac, the Wallet Warrior, Mr. Inappropriate. Once Upon a Time, the Man's Man, Bobby No Mates, Nitro Nigel, Moany Tony. We've all got one of those. Dangerous Dave, Frank the Farmer, Mr. Raff, Monkey Martin, the Droner. I missed out one, actually. The Hobby King Hater. Now, this one's a special breed, and the reason why, even if you whisper Hobby King next to them, they will come out and absolutely slate Hobby King because they bought one model once and had to do something to it to make it fly, like put some glue in it. All you have to do is whisper at them, Hobby King, and they'll go off on a complete bender. Then we had Gobby Gary, Bolsa Dave, Pat, and ultimately Kevin Know-It-All. So I am sure you know at least one of those characters from your flight line. And if you don't, you probably do now, and look out for them because I'm sure you're going to come across them at some point in the future. Now, obviously, I've not really... I've seen Bruce's comment now. What about Do Nothing Dan? He brings out the same hanger queens every weekend and says, can't fly yet, need a bit of wind. Then when the wind arrives, it's a bit too windy, maybe next weekend. Yes, we also seen those characters as well. They bring it out to the flight line and just admire it. Right. What else do we have in the topics list today? And right, Dirty Tip Staller. As many of you know, that I'm not really a big fan of warbirds per se, but that little rare bear, absolutely amazing. Now, I did spot there was this little Focke Wulf on Bandicoot a while ago, and it finally turned up, and you must admit, it does look the dog's bollock. Apologies, trying to watch my potty mouth. It does look quite the part, doesn't it? Aha. Anyway, absolutely cool. Came with a motor, took only a bit of glue up. There's the inside. Oh, big thank you to Andrew Bolton, and I know you're on it at the moment, mate. That's the bit of ply which I put in the front. So when I do stuff it in the ground, the battery's not going to get rammed into the back of the motor shaft. Yeah, definitely does look the part. I'm kind of looking forward to flying it, actually. If it's anywhere close to the Rare Bear, I'm going to be quite pleased. Now, obviously, I'm not going to be making this one go mental fast, blah, blah, blah. Famous last words. I just bought it because I liked it. Relatively straightforward. The only thing which I actually modified, besides putting a bit of plywood in the front, is I didn't like their control horns, so I changed those. I changed those over to some which I had here, and put my own little washers out with a bit of fuel tube on it. But you must admit, it does look the part very well. Same size as the Rare Bear, and actually on the topic of the Rare Bear, because I loved that model so much, I bought a second, and it should be fingers crossed here with me today. So. We may do an unboxing of the Rare Bear, excuse me, at some point this week, because I do, again, I bought this one because it kind of looked like the Rare Bear, and it also kind of looked like the part, but the Rare Bear, which actually went back, I found Bruce did a video on it ages ago, is it's an amazing model, absolutely love it. It's a shame that it's quite expensive, because it would, if it was a little bit cheaper, it would definitely go in the best models you could buy for 50 quid or less, but unfortunately it's not 50 quid or less. But it is absolutely bonkers. Brad says, yes, needs carbon fibre. Oh, yeah, that reminds me. I did actually mod it slightly. I did put an extra piece of carbon fibre across the bottom in there, and I put some glass tape on the front, on the bottom as well. And, yeah. Oh, and I do need to put a bit of carbon fibre in the elevator, because I know what I'm like on the elevator. I'm pretty, bang hard on it as well. Thank you, Ruds, for your vote of confidence. As you can see above my head, just there, Mr. Ruds, which I'm losing off the camera. Thank you, sir. I'll give this plane 10 minutes. Right, so yeah, dirty little tip staller. Kind of looking forward to flying that one. It's got to be made by the same company which made the Rare Bear, because it's exactly the same motor and exactly the same ESC combo. So I strongly suspect it's made by the same company. The next topic is the FG36. Now, those of you which have been around on this channel for a while know that I've had a Team Legit FG36 here for a very, very long time. And the thing is that, I'll be honest with you, is that I kept picking it up and going, I've got the CG marks up here. And you'll see the CG is really far forward, so I've forgotten the actual thing on there. And again, I verified it in the wing calculator, the wing CG calculator, and it needs a disproportionate amount of weight in the nose to hit CG. So as far as I got was just cutting out the servos, I think, and putting the motor mount in the back. But it's a 36-inch, well, it's a sport wing. And the bit which always bugged me, I wanted it for flying pretty fast. And the irony is that it was never going to be up to that, because you always needed to put a decent-sized camera on the front to weigh it down to hit your CG. Whereas I want to say a massive hat tip to Shane McDowell, which I'm sure you've met in the live interview which we did with him and his partner a while back. Is that Shane had printed or made up the plans, which you can see on my screen, and by the way, there's a link to that in the video description, for this 3D printed module to go on the nose, and that took like 9 hours to print. And to be honest, it was probably one of the best 9 hours waiting for this to turn up, because it has come out really, really nicely, and I'm quite impressed with it. So I do need a little bit more work on there. I have put and again, I need to glue these up. I have put a little bit of carbon in the front, and I've got some glass fibre spars going down the nose. So I'm really looking forward to flying this one. I already know the colour scheme on this one. I decided many, many moons ago what it was going to be like. And in short, it is going to be jet, well, just pure white. As pure white as I can make it. Maybe with just a band down one of the wings just to help with orientation. But yeah, she is going to be pure white. That's my goal for this one, and I'm really looking forward to it, in short. So I want to say a massive thank you to Shane. Shane, thank you, sir. So that's the FG36, and move that one out of the way. Again, give it about a week and she'll be ready. The other topic was, actually I'm going to go on a slightly different tangent. Eachine, the Sky Munter, the Micro Sky Munter. As many of you know how much I love that little model. It's on sale right now for $40. I can't believe nobody else has picked that up. I posted it in the Facebook group last night. I know a collection of you have been and grabbed yourself one. $40. Corking little models. Again, I always prefer the kit version, because then you can get to choose what components go in there rather than having someone else's half-baked suggestions or ideas on what should go in a model. And again, with the kit version, you can put your own comparts in there, which you've probably already got. You've probably already got an FPV camera. You've probably already got a spare motor and an ESC, you know. So, yeah, $40. I thought that was an absolute bargain. That model is definitely going in the best models to buy for 50 quid or less. I've absolutely loved mine. And I remember I was extremely upset when I finally stuffed in my original one. And it was to the point. It was just unrepairable. Such a shame. So $40, absolute bargain. Also, for clarity, the Ready-Made RC also do, an American-based company, they do a nano version, which is about $20 more, made out of black EPP. Obviously, if you're based in the United States, that one may work out cheaper or easier or quicker for you to get it. But if you're in Europe, like myself, then $40, absolute bargain with free shipping. Happy fucking days. Right. So next topic is the Hardcore 44. which is sat right next to me. Now, if you haven't seen the maiden of this thing yet, it is absolutely unbelievably mental. There's no other words for it, really. Mental. Absolutely bonkers. It is rock solid, and it goes exactly where you put it. And there's a video down there where called I Almost Stuffed It. If you haven't seen that one yet, go and watch that video. The link to the playlist is in the video description for you. Go and watch it, how I got it out, and how it didn't drop a wing. The things which I do with, or have done with that wing, is that I've got other flying wings here, and if you yank back too hard on a loop, is that one wing will stall and it'll go and then just go out. What, you can never tell which direction it goes out. You wouldn't believe how hard I was pulling back on those sticks. In fact, if you listen closely into the FPV maiden, you'll see that I'm going down that flight line, going up as close as I dare to the ground. Again, it's a new model, so I'm not exactly sure how close I am to the ground. It just feels close, so that's normally good enough. And I'm going across the flight line, and I'm banging so hard back, the model's gone vertical into the sky. If I did that with perhaps some other wings, is that if you do that too hard, it will just kick out and flop out, and you just never guess which direction it was going to go in. That Hardcore 44 just didn't do it to me at all. Pretty damn crazy model. There is one tweak which I've made on mine since, or two actually. Number one is that I was running it on the suggested 7x5 APC prop at the back. I've now downsized that to a 7x4 prop on the back, and I've also moved the motor mount backwards as well. That is purely a personal preference, just because of noise. Those things really do rip the sky a new one. It will literally go from like 40 mile an hour to over a ton right in front of you in about that much space as well. Absolutely skits, but it was exceptionally loud, and obviously we kind of like the flying sites which we go to, and we don't want to piss anybody off. So yeah, do need to make a few tweaks on that one just to try and calm the noise side down on it, but absolutely bonkers to say the least. And the last but one topic for this morning is the shopping bender. Now, I'm doing this each week, and what I'm going to do, I'm only ever going to pick out like one product of note or worthiness, which is ironically kind of boring, but I was actually genuinely surprised by them. So in the video description is actually everything which I've bought off Bandicoot, well, most stuff off the internet, besides some glue from eBay. And actually I bought something off eBay, I can't remember what it was now. But anyway, the collection of parts which I've been buying. This is actually a hangover from last week. Now, I saw these come in, and this was about the cheapest thing which I bought, and have bought in quite a long time. I wanted to see if you can see the size of that control horn. I'm going to put my hands back on there so it focuses. Look at the blooming size of that. It's absolutely ginormous, and I've bought loads of them. And the reason why I bought loads of them is because the control horns which I've got on the Hardcore 44 are some plastic ones which I had, and I'm going to go and replace it for some of these instead. They're not complete Chinese metal, you know. They are really kind of stiff, and I thought they were fantastic value. They come in pairs, and they come with a little plate on the bottom for $1, you know. And I bought them, I can't remember how much, I put 3 in a cart, 77 cents. I thought they were a bargain considering the quality and the size of them. And to warn you now, they are big. That is the size of my hand, and that's how big those control horns are. I thought they were absolutely fantastic. And as you can see, I've got a little bag here full of lots of them. And I'm going to start using them on a collection of models now that I thought they were really, really good. So, yeah. Ironically, one of the cheapest things which I've bought in a long time turned out to be bloody fantastic. So, happy days. Let's have a quick look. Bruce, you're probably absolutely right. It's probably due to the wing fences to keeping it on there. Yes, and I'm definitely looking forward to your wing theory. And by the way, you can see the chat going above my head video as well. Yeah, again, the Hardcore 44, if you look at the winglets, normally most flying wings rely on big winglets on the ends. Well, you'll notice on this one is actually quite small. It's not big considering the size of the wing. This is a 44-inch wing. That little winglet is rather small. We've got wing fences, a pair of them here. We've got some huge ones in the middle, which really does give it its crazy ass. In fact, I'm putting it around that way, which really does give it its good looks on there. And then, ironically, you've also, at the other screen, you've got two smaller ones up underneath. Yeah, it really does give it a unique look, and it really does help track it in the sky. Oh, I missed that out, actually. It's very peculiar. It's almost knife edging a flying wing. It just tracks. Whichever angle you get it at, it will just track and hold its attitude in the sky. You'll need to see the maiden of that, the Hardcore 44, and you'll see, it's just weird. It just holds its attitude. It's very peculiar. It's very confidence inspiring to the point. Well, you saw me what I was doing with it in the maiden. That really was her maiden. That was the first chuck, and we had to trim it out. And I did have to put some more down in it, and then I ended up having to put even more down in after the FPV maiden. But that's real life experience. It just bang and it holds, bang and it holds whatever attitude you've got it in. Those little winglets, those little wing fences do make a massive difference to the model. Right, and the last topic which we've got for today is that we need to nip across to Hobby King and see if their website is still broken or not. So I'm just there on another screen, just getting myself signed in. Brilliant, let's grab that on there. Now, as many of you know, we are looking forward to the Sidewinder wing. It's coming out, and apparently it was coming out in May. So let's have a quick look. Sidewinder. Oh, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, the Hobby. I have to share this bad news with you, which unfortunately the Hobby King website is still broken. There is no Sidewinder available currently. What can you do? What can you do? Right, apologies, I've kind of missed all of your chat here in the background. It's been a busy RC coffee chat today, and I'm just going back to the beginning. Apologies for the microphone. We got that sorted in the end. Right, to quickly recap the topics which we covered today. Number one, iNav saved my arse. Genuinely impressed. Absolutely impressed. Like I said, I've only, and that's now twice in over 6 months, and you know how much FPV which I fly, I've had to hit return to launch. And when only it was the case of either just letting the throttle down and doing my best to land it flat, or just stuffing it. It was in a safe place anyway, and it was just been a very, very long walk of shame because you have to go like miles that way to go around and get it, or hit the return to button home switch. I hit return to home. Came home. I can't say much more than that, to be honest. That's praise in itself. And honestly, I could not keep that model in the sky. The comments on the flight, oh man, you're great. Nuts. Absolute nuts. 3D parts for scratch builds. Something which I'm working on at the moment, a little side project. Like we discussed, 3D parts enables to use some awkward booms and things like that to make them more manageable. Really looking forward to that. Any suggestions which you've got or any ideas for parts which can be made, like I said, draw it out on a piece of paper, take a photo, stick it in the Facebook group. Topic number 3 which we covered today was, do you know any of those people? That was a rundown of characters which you may have seen or experienced on the flight line. Topic number 4 was the dirty little tip staller. She is down there. We'll have a maiden video of her at some point this weekend, hopefully. We'll see about that one. Topic number 5 was the FG36, which I've sat over there. That's the Team Legit 36-inch sport wing. Really looking forward to that one. As you can see, it's actually progressing now. We've got a big hole in it for a battery, for starters, and loads of carbon and glass fibre too. Topic number 6, the Sky Munters. They are on offer, $40. Really, that model does 100%, in my view at least, belong in the best models which you can buy for 50 quid or less. Absolutely brilliant, thoroughly enjoyable. They can take a beating to a limit, as I learned. And like I said, I was sad when I stuffed mine in. Topic number 7 was the Hardcore 44 Maiden. Yeah, go and have a look at the playlist if you haven't seen them yet. Excuse me. I really didn't hold back. That's all. Absolutely crazy models. And I've got the 38-inch version over there on the desk to get finished up. Absolutely bonkers model. I have bought quite a lot this week, including another model. There is a list of everything which I've been and bought this week, and also some more flight control boards for iNav specifically. And like I said, it's so cheap. I've got at least 5. Yeah, I'll probably end up with about 7 sets on this one. Again, I've got a whole raft of models here, which would definitely benefit from having a flight control board in there. And moving the vector around different models is a royal pain in the ass. Remember, it's 175 quid or 238 some dollars US. It's a lot of money for the model. A lot of money for what it is. Whereas the cheaper combinations, these flight control boards, they're super cheap now. Chuck in a GPS. All you need is a little bit of knowledge on it. I'll get you some, like, I'm going to use the term map-proof tutorials. Literally do this and just follow through, and you should be fine with it. Again, we'll even do the idiot checks. I say idiot checks, but I really mean map-proof checks because I've lobbed a model before with the surfaces reversed, as I'm sure I'm not alone in doing that. And anyway, the shopping court bender, those were my favourite purchase for the week, which was those which I actually bought last week, and they've turned up this week. They're absolutely massive. Some of those are going to go on the Hardcore 44. They're definitely going on the Hardcore 38, and I also have a bigger wing here, which I've been mucking around with as well. They're going to go on there as well, because I think they're absolutely fantastic. And the last topic which we covered today was the Hobby King website. Unfortunately, ladies and gents, Hobby King does appear to be broken again this week. There is no Sidewinder wing. Now, if you don't know what we're on about, we're a Sidewinder wing and Hobby King. It's a new model from Durafly. Look it up on U-Balls and you'll see why I might kind of like it. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, Brian, I'm trying to tame things down as well at the moment with one or two additions as well. So with that said, from myself, Matt, thank you very much for joining in for today's RC Coffee Chat. We hold these RC Coffee Chats every Wednesday. Obviously, depends on what time it is with you and where you're based in the world, but it is 6 a.m. here in the United Kingdom, and they go on for approximately 45 minutes, give or take a few. If it is your first time here, welcome aboard. I'm Matt. Underneath this video, there is a subscribe button if you'd like to be notified of when the next episode, like the RC Coffee Chat next week, or maybe a maiden video or something like that, which comes out, or maybe the iNav tutorial series. Don't forget to press subscribe, press the little bell icon if you would like YouTube to notify you. If you have any questions or comments about anything which we've been covered here today, I would like to make this point frankly clear. Every single model which you have seen here today, I have bought out of my own money. They're not biased reviews in any shape or form. I bought them out of my own cash. So if a model is crap, unfortunately we've had one or two crap ones, I'll tell you point blank. So if you have a question about anything which you've seen, please just ask. Literally, if it's something as good as that, which I know is kind of boring, but actually kind of exciting for me because it means that it really does weld itself to the back of, say, the Hardcore 44, please just ask. So you can do that in the comment section underneath this video. So thank you everybody who's been enjoying join me here live today. I really do appreciate it. And if you're out flying today, have fantastic fun. And if you're out flying this week, it's probably a better one. Also, have fantastic fun. So from myself, Matt, as always, cheerios!